Hey, blessings everyone. I am Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transition Mind and VP with Minds Up with none other than Takia Diamond, and also a part of this phenomenal transformational tag team that's actually taking place right now. And basically this video is actually for you guys. Sorry about the delay, but there was things that had to be handled. Pretty sure you guys understand that. But this afternoon, I just wanted to share with you guys a couple of things that I've been thinking about and experiencing throughout the past week and a half or so. And I'm pretty sure most of you may be able to relate. And where I'm going to start is the word no. Many of you may have come across situations in life or individuals where you may have truly desired something, or you may have actually asked and put a request in for something, and the individual that you were asking automatically just gave you a no. One thing I'm a big believer on is never allowing a person to tell you no that does not have the power or the authority to authorize that yes for you. Really take a moment to think about that. Take a moment to think, the person that you were asking, were they really in position to give you a yes if they really wanted to? Or by default, they're just programmed to automatically give you a no. This could be related to business, you making a purchase at a particular establishment or wherever. And I found out that a lot of people get discouraged by asking the right questions, but they're asking the wrong people, and they're asking the wrong people in the wrong environment and at the wrong time. So recently what I have been really exercising, which has been very challenging, is basically practicing what I preach by never allowing a person to tell me no that does not have the power or the authority to authorize that yes. And some of the things actually dealt with a form of employment that I'm involved with. Won't release any name or any company, but I'm kind of new to the particular department where I've been placed at, or being placed at, so to speak. And one thing that's really been bothering me is, why is it that when you are really trying to achieve the next level or dimension of success, and you're asking, requesting for more information to kind of change and train yourself to really be productive within that particular department so you can be successful with it, I found myself, why was I being rejected from receiving this type of help, this type of training? And the thing that hit me was, you know what? There will be situations that'll come where you really have to prove how much you truly desire to be placed in a higher position. And especially if you're kind of new, there will be people that will oppose that, and they will do their best to try to sabotage that. So I actually recently learned not to really ask specific people if they don't possess the power or the knowledge that I am in need of at that time to really help elevate. So it's kind of challenging to really not reveal too much of what's taking place, but the main points that really did happen was, I asked one to train me, and they were instructed to train me, but because they felt intimidated, I guess I can say, because of the ability that I have to really catch on very fast and really start applying what I taught within a short period of time, it was kind of an intimidation to them, to where they were hearing a rumor that I was basically going to be their replacement, in other words. Now, this is where it can become very challenging when it comes to you really trying to achieve that next level of success, or for you to obtain and acquire something that you truly desire. I notice whether you're making a sale or you're trying to purchase something within a store, I've come across the situation where I overheard the conversation, honestly speaking, where the person was talking about a customer and they said something to the nature of, I had the ability to give them that discount. I had the ability to mark that down so where they can afford it, so to speak, or for a better price, or to meet the competitors' pricing. And they ended up basically not doing so because they said, shoot, why would I do that if I'm not even getting a better percentage off than that customer? Like, who are they? Who do they think they are? Like, why should I allow them to have that and I don't even have it for myself? So the thing that popped into my mind was, that's nothing but ego and pride and jealousy. Ego, pride, and jealousy are three forms of characteristics and energies that can influence just about anyone if they're not careful and if they're not aware of it. Ego, pride, and jealousy. Usually if a person is being egotistical, that's because they have some form of power and authority within an establishment. But along with that right there, there's a form of pride that connects and works hand in hand with the ego. Now, when you have pride and ego working, that just creates a whole nother element, which I would consider jealousy. Now, jealousy usually is for people who don't want to see you succeed or don't want you to have something that they don't have. So I basically overlooked that so I could kind of get to the point. I overlooked that. Once I identified it, I'm like, you know what? I see what this is. This is ego, pride, and jealousy all in one taking place. And this is really just a test and providing me the perfect opportunity to really make that breakthrough. What I started to do once I recognized this is I went to the next person in chain of command and asked them, can you please teach me this? Because the one that was assigned to teach me obviously has an issue and made a statement saying that they're not paid to train me. So therefore, they weren't going to allow me to basically be trained under their numbers or whatever you want to call it for the system. And the other co-worker that I was with was willing to do so, but the person that was assigned to train me said, no, why are you going to do that? That's not your job. That's not in your job description. And then the person logs me out. So that way I had no way to be able to log on to practice actually working through the system so I could be more familiar with it. Once I recognized that, I'm like, you know what? Okay. Since I've already seen how the system works, and I thank God for the ability to really be able to memorize different files and folders and components when it comes to me actually going on any particular program that I'm utilizing, I memorized in the back of my head the exact folders, the exact file, the exact format, the exact amount of clicks that it took to open up to go to this particular option or feature within the tab. So the coworker waited for the person to leave, and they said, you know what, don't worry about it. Listen, I'm going to show you from mine, so just watch me as I go along. So I was like, you know what? I was able to check that off my list. I was like, okay. I was determined to learn something new, and God, working through the universe, provided that opportunity for me once I overcame that obstacle that was in the way. So in other words, I was being solution-based. I was seeking a solution to resolve the whole issue that was taking place. Once I did that, and I started to actually learn and was able to process the next step that I just recently learned, the person comes back and they're asking, what am I doing? Why am I writing down so much information? Like, it's not like I'm going to be there to stay there long enough to be able to really use it. So once I saw that, I'm like, you know what? That means I'm getting closer and closer to my elevation, to my breakthrough. And I was actually just smiling inside because I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Let me go to the next person in chain of command that is able to basically address this situation and this issue, so that way I can be trained properly without the distractions, so that way I could promote. This is all happening within just a matter of 2 hours time. So that's not even a whole day. But what I did recognize is, okay, I see what I want. I have a focus on what I truly desire to grow and to excel. I see the enemy, the adversary, coming at me, trying to sabotage my growth. Now, this is something that a lot of you can relate. There may be things in your life that you may be trying to accomplish and reach, such as goals and dreams, opportunities that you're trying to seize, and things that you're trying to acquire to help elevate and promote to the next level. When you're facing these things, don't necessarily get frustrated. Rather than getting frustrated, utilize that energy that you feel while you are frustrated and use that as your drive, use that as your fuel to think, and allow it to be somewhat of like an adrenaline rush, but just kind of think about it as a computer or a car where you need that extra boost of speed and your engine by itself may not be performing at the level that you need it to or the acceleration that you need it to. So you're like, you know what? You flick the switch and boom, now you hit the turbo, you hit the nitrous, and now you're able to go full throttle beyond where that person was just at. Now you surpass them is exactly what's has taken place from them. I surpassed them. The very thing that they were trying to do to prevent me, they don't understand how the laws work in the universe is the more you resist against something, the more of what you don't want is what's going to happen. This is how it works. So in other words, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. Don't focus on what you don't really want to happen, because as long as you do that, you're literally giving a focus and attention and energy towards what you don't want. And what happens is you end up getting the opposite results. And this was proof to me, being the vessel that was experiencing this, and I'm like, wow, this is really happening before my eyes. So I'm like, you know what? I identified what was taking place, and I'm like, you know what? I'm experiencing this so I can be able to deliver a message to teach someone else whenever they are experiencing something like this. Identify the signs. Ego, pride, and jealousy equals sabotaging or an attempt to sabotage. That means you're going in the right direction, and it means that you need to basically keep pushing forward. But now here's the thing. Wisdom is what needs to take place. Wisdom is where you need to really be operating from now. Now you have the knowledge, you're aware of it. Now you need to utilize the wisdom, which is the application of that knowledge. Then you step into understanding why it's happening. Once you reach that, you'll be able to follow the instructions that comes along with that. Now, when you're actually following your focus and your drive, you're no longer distracted by those things. Excuse me for one moment, guys. I have a low phone battery. Have to plug it up to the charger. And as I'm doing this is actually what can take place sometimes. You can be in a flow, you can be driven and doing something positive, and things like this may take place, but it's nothing that there's no solution for. You just have to basically be solution based. So always remember that you should always go to a place that you really desire, but on your way there, make sure you're prepped and you're prepared to have like a backup plan. In other words, not necessarily a backup plan, but just make sure you're equipped with the tools that may be necessary, so that way in case you do run into any situation, you can continue to go on without having any further delays or problems. So this is what was actually taking place. It's amazing that my phone was actually notifying me about a low battery, because I started to become a little drained throughout this process of when this experience was happening. And I'm like, you know what? I need to refuel. So what I did was I took a break, right? And I went to the break room because I was authorized to do so. And I took a 5-minute break and I put on something powerful, motivational, inspirational. And who better to me than, of course, God, that led me to watch one of Tony Robbins' videos. So while I'm watching this, I'm like, yo, you know what? Sometimes you really do need to refuel, because you don't want to burn out to where you end up getting to your reserved battery, and you're stressing about the fact that this is your last reserve, that you may lose connection, you may lose the flow, you may lose the drive if you don't have the necessary tools to really push you through, to really keep on pressing through, so that way you are not delayed or never reaching that destination or that checkpoint. So this is a perfect example. You never know what you may need. So therefore, if there's people that may be dropping jewels for you, words of wisdom, words of encouragement, or whatever it is, don't always be so quick to reject it, because it could be a month to a year to a few years from now, and that very message that a person gave to you may have not had any relevancy for you that right then and there, but it was meant for you to have at this very point in time. To where I ended up buying this portable charger because I just saw it on sale, and I was like, you know what, let me get this just in case. Okay, I made sure that I downloaded the video from Tony Robbins by utilizing YouTube Red, to where I can still watch the video even if I don't have connection, because the facility I work at, there's very bad connection there, to where you won't even really be able to access YouTube from your phone, from your mobile device. But hey, there's always tools and resources available, so don't be so quick to reject it, or to be like, oh, they just want my money for it, or oh, it's useless. No, anything that you really have a desire for, that you have a sweet taste in your mouth for, or feeling when it comes to making a purchase of certain things, go with it, because majority of the time, that's you kind of talking, that's like your future self, so to speak, talking to your present self, letting you know, yeah, make sure you get that, yeah, make sure you download that, because you can use it in the long run. That way you're not stressing about what you don't have. You're like, okay, I have more than enough. I'd rather have something and not need it than need something and not have it. This is how it really works. That's what I believe. So back to my point, and this is exactly what's taking place. I waited for HR to come in, and I contacted HR, and I let them know, listen, I'm having an issue where I'm not able to log in. I want to know how much longer will it be before I can access my account for the program, so that way I can kind of like start being more independent with this program, so I can continue to excel. And they reset the password for me, right? And everything was good to go. I go back downstairs so I can hop on the computer, utilize the program, and turns out while I was upstairs speaking to HR, the lady that chose not to want to train me ended up having a conversation with one of the supervisors in the AM and told them, can they have me move because there's too many people, quote unquote, and they're at the front desk, and therefore tried to move me back to where I originally was removed from, because of the conditions, the working conditions of the place. And when I heard this, I'm like, wait, what do you mean I'm supposed to go back to this particular part of the office, or this particular part of the facility? I already had a conversation with HR and the supervisor about them removing me because of the conditions that was there, of it not being properly ventilated, and the fumes and all this other stuff that was taking place. And I let them know due to medical history for that. And they're saying, no, I just had a conversation with them, and they said that you have to go back over there, and if you have a problem with it, you have to wait till the afternoon. And since you will have to wait till the afternoon, that means I need you to clock out right now, so that way you can wait until the person comes in the afternoon, which meant I would have lost out on hours. But what I ended up doing was I went back upstairs, explained the situation, and then I went back downstairs, and then it was basically going back and forth from this person to that person, to where they finally was able to have an understanding, like, okay, you know what, we can have some form of a reasonable accommodation, which wasn't necessarily reasonable, but it was to do the job for the time being. In other words, what was I being? Solution based. I didn't allow that person to tell me no, that I can't stay here, I have to go over there. So I went to the person who had power and authority to authorize me to go back to the place where I'm supposed to be at, as I was instructed to do. Once I got past that part, I'm trying to speak this up for you guys. I got past that part, and another supervisor comes in, and they were saying that management wanted to see me, right? I spoke to management. Management said that, okay, they would give me 2 weeks or whatever to bring in a doctor's notice, right? In other words, something that is giving me access to stay in a place where I desire to be, and that health-wise, it's safe for me to be there. So I relayed the message when I went back downstairs, and I told them, okay, so she had a meeting with all the supervisors, let them know, and turns out the same person goes to another supervisor from another department and tells them something else, to where now I have to go back in there and have a meeting. So mind you, all of this is going on. This is all within just the morning shift right here. And this duty manager talks to the supervisors downstairs and says, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have him back where he was just at, but I need you to train him on what he would be learning over there in the other office that we were trying to send him to. I recognized, and I thank God that I didn't have to necessarily say anything to make it sound like I was complaining. God utilized an angel that was there to speak up, to be my voice. And the supervisor was saying, wait, why are we training him on something that if he does come back, and when he does come back with the notice from the doctor, there will be no point in training him on something that he's not going to be using if he's going to be placed here. It serves no purpose. So therefore, you're basically having him learn something that is not even necessary, that's not even being utilized. On top of that, it's not what he was originally instructed to actually learn for him to actually progress so he can excel. And managers, like, he ended up acknowledging that. Well, the duty manager ended up acknowledging that, and was like, oh, okay, you know what, that does make sense. Now, my thing is, people are so programmed and stuck in just one way of thinking to just go by no, 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 and more no's. When you're dealing with people whose natural reply is always no, you want to be mindful of that, because if you accept those no's, you will be stuck in a place and be so miserable to where you will lose your drive and your ambition in life, to where you just give up and you just throw in the towel, and you're like, you don't even want to do what you were originally called to do. By me recognizing that, I'm like, you know what? This is nothing but another test. And sometimes wisdom is what really saved me in that situation, to where I didn't have to be the one to say something. Just my focus, my mental focus, is all it took to be projected into the universe, to be planted into the universe, and then the seed made its way around, grew into a plant and a harvest, and the fruit was returned to me, to where it ended up saving me the stress and the aggravation and the appearance of, oh, he's just complaining about everything. So, wisdom is what you guys need to focus on. Understanding is what you really need to be in tune with when you utilize this wisdom. And then just don't be so anxious and focused of what you don't want to happen, but focus on what you do want to happen, because this is exactly what took place. Now, even still, there may be some challenges and obstacles that may take place, as it did with me, to where now word goes around, and next thing you know, I'm called back up. I have my badge taken temporarily until they supposedly have an opening for a position that's already available at that, just to be mindful of. There's already a position available, but just so they can satisfy the ego and the pride of the other ones that's already there, so that way they don't have to hear a bunch of drama. So in other words, I had to be that sacrifice temporarily, right? So having myself being this vessel, this sacrifice to really have these people's colors exposed, because this is the next step that I recognized, is sometimes God will allow you to be that vessel, and especially if you're a child of the Most High God, we are called to be the light in that room of darkness. And I was that light in that room of darkness, because there was nothing but darkness that was taking place there, and I was that light, and what's done in the darkness comes to the light, right? So here's what happened. Get the badge taken. I'm told that I have to clock out, whatever, so forth right there. Mind you, for this particular department, I was just registered that morning in the system to where I got my numbers to be able to clock in and out for this particular department, right? So I go back upstairs and I speak to the HR manager and I explain what happened, and she took the badge or whatever like that, and I'm asking, okay, is there anything that can be done so that way I don't have to miss any hours or any days, right? So person tells me no, very egotistical, driven with all this other pride just because they're in position and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not important to me. That's exactly how it sounded. So what takes place is she ends up telling me to leave out. So mind you, in the building, you're not allowed to be in a building or walking around the building unless you have your badge for certain security checkpoints, right? So I end up basically getting ready to walk out of this particular office from this cubicle, and the HR worker calls me and says, hold on, Champagne, have a seat. I gotta be able to clock you in and out because I didn't get a chance to early like I was supposed to. You were registered, but we didn't necessarily clock you in and out, right? So turns out that, okay, I'm like, maybe there's a chance that something's about to work in my favor, right? So being optimistic and positive and not accepting that no, that rejection, right? So I'm sitting there literally, and I hear the HR manager come from behind the cubicle, and I hear her loud and clear talking about me behind her back. Talking about me behind her back. Literally mocking me, like laughing about everything I just told her about, you know, there's a situation that's happening. I really can't afford, or I would really not desire to lose any hours or any days from of pay. Especially when this could be simply resolved by putting me into another department or whatever. So person is talking about me, laughing, ha 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 type thing to one of the workers that's there, and then the person that she was talking to comes from behind the cubicle, and they were told to run an errand, right? So they come out and they're like, Champagne, what are you still doing here? You were supposed to have left, and why didn't you leave yet? And I'm like, well, the worker right here, not releasing any names, the worker right here told me to hold on because he didn't put me through the system to be clocked in and out, right? So this was like a shock and surprise to him, and I was just smiling inside because I'm like, wow, this is why I was meant to sit here. It was meant for me to have this conversation with the HR manager at that point in time, and to be leaving out at that time to where the person was sitting at the desk that was trying to have time for me all day, and next thing you know, he ends up telling me to sit down, and it was meant for me to sit down so this can be exposed to where everybody is aware, like, wow, this person was just talking about him, thinking that the person left, and now they were basically caught like red-handed, like gossiping, mocking, making a mockery of the person that was asking for help, which shows that the person really had no good intentions in really helping me to begin with, from what it appears. And there's witnesses around, so now the rest of the staff in HR is now witnessing the true colors of the boss, in other words, that is over them. So when things actually happen, they understand why these things happen, and that it's not just a rumor of, oh, just a person saying something just to say, oh, a person doesn't like a person. It's more so like, you know what, wow, this is the company that we work for. This is the leader that is over us. Word of advice to you leaders that are out there. If you own a business and you're in a management position, supervisor position, CEO position, or just the owner, administrator of it, be mindful of how you carry yourself, and be mindful of the things that you do when you think that nobody is looking, or if you just think that you're just having a humorous conversation with your coworkers or your employees. Because this really showed me like, wow, here it is as a leader, they got to this position and now they're talking about a person that's just went through all of this craziness within just a course of a day. And now this very person that has the power and authority to give you that yes is now the very one that is actually mocking you. And I heard this with my own ears, and others has witnessed it. And now at this point in time, I'm being escorted down so that way I don't have to worry about the drama of anybody saying anything. So I can get my belongings so that way I can proceed with the remainder of my day, right? I go downstairs and the very two people that were trying to sabotage me already with the positionings, they ended up being the ones to make a scene, to be like, what are you still doing in the building, blah, 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 and then start saying things. So my whole thing is, no problem, I'll just make this known and I'll make a report of it, and HR is with me, they have witnesses to see this. So boom, that situation is done. Sorry if it seemed like it was a rant, but it really wasn't. It was just understanding that when you guys are faced with situations where you're really trying to elevate and progress and excel, you may be placed in uncomfortable positionings and situations to where you may be like, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? And it's not always something you did wrong. Sometimes God will allow you because you're the only one that's strong enough to where you're that bright light that exposes what's really taking place. And this is exactly what took place to me. And I proceeded with basically going on with the rest of the day and just was being positive minded, right? There's other things that took place, but the main keys that I want you guys to see is don't settle. Even now, I didn't settle. This situation has been escalated to where now I took it to a higher authority, which I thank God that I just have favor with people in high positions of leadership that are at the top, not just middlemen, not just supervisors or just general managers or whatever. No, I thank God for the ability to be able to be in connection with people that are in higher positions that has the final say so before God, basically. Because God is the one that has the final say so. And I ended up meeting this person during my training hours when I first started with the company. And something just woke. I'm like, wow, who is this person? I want to introduce and know this person. And now this has been escalated to where now I can properly present an email, a written letter, and report to that person in position. And everything's been documented because I went through the chain of command. I respected the laws of the universe by abiding by the rules, the instructions, and now something's taken higher to where it already started ruling in my favor. So this is something that happened last week, and now, about, I guess I can say, yeah, today's Tuesday. 7 days later, it made full circle to now where things are ruling in my favor, because there was other things outside of that, but I was like, you know what, let me not be distracted by all these things bombarding me. Boom, 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 boom. The world just throwing things left and right, left and right, left and right. You know what I did? I practiced what every martial artist should ever understand. Whenever you are in martial arts or any form of fighting, we're trained to focus and to meditate and to always have one thing that we have in the back of our mind or that's within our vision to focus on. So for instance, you guys may be looking at my face throughout this video, right? But I'm pretty sure you can still see other things that may be flying around. Like if a person came and walked up from behind me, if a branch decided to fall or whatever, God forbid, or even there's light poles, you see the leaves even falling. But you're not focusing on the leaves that's falling. You're not focusing on a person coming up behind me. You're not focusing on any of these things that's going on all around me. You're focusing on me speaking to you guys, right? So in martial arts, the way this works is you focus on one particular thing and you focus on that center. Anything else that comes in the way, if it's trying to hit you or attack you, you utilize your peripheral, which is, in other words, another term for your radar, outside of that focal point that's there. And anytime anything is coming outside of that focal point, you have to trust your body's natural instincts and reactions based upon training, to where anything comes, boom, you sit there and you grab it, just like this. Anything that comes in the way, you're able to deflect it, block it, whatever you need to, without losing focus. And that's exactly what happens. So in life, this is another way to actually exercise this mentally and spiritually. Don't lose focus. Even though there may be a whole bunch of chaos going on around you, don't be so focused on those things, because you can be discouraged to where you just give up. And Queen Mother, I see that you're watching this video. This is something that kind of took place last week, as to why I didn't necessarily do a live video, but I posted a live video that I've done previously, because I felt that it was definitely relevant to the situation that was taking place. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm not going to allow these things to basically make me into a victim, because I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. And I understand that these things is going to come, and they're going to continue to come. And I embrace it. I'm not going to reject them. Do I wish that it's not so much? Yes. But at the same time, I'm going to constantly stay focused and continue to train. So anytime those things do come, I can always deliver a powerful message, because these things is necessary to happen, especially if we desire and truly want to excel with things in life. I know this video is kind of long, but I really feel strongly that these things is necessary for you guys to hear. Don't lose your drive. Understand adversity is meant to happen. It doesn't make you a bad person or mean that you're doing something wrong. It means majority of the time that you're doing the right thing. What you do want to have an understanding of, though, is don't accept that no from those that are not in power position to give you or authorize that yes. No matter who it is, no matter what it is. And don't drain yourself either by asking the wrong people, because you can ask 10 people that don't possess the power or authority to tell you yes, and you're asking 10 people. By the time you get to the 11th person, you're like, you know what, I'm drained, I'm burned out, I don't even want to sit there and ask anybody else, because I'm only going to get a no. No, that's not true. It's not the quantity of the people that you ask, it's the quality of the people that you're asking for assistance for. So look for those quality yeses in life. Look for the quality yes. That's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Be mindful of the warnings so you don't lose focus, which is pride, ego, jealousy, which equals attempt to sabotage. Pride, ego, jealousy, and the attempt to sabotage. You can eliminate all of those things by having a focus on what you truly desire. And also, it's not the quantity of the people that you ask, it's the quality of the people that you ask. So use wisdom when you're asking questions and when you're on this life's journey and searching for that yes, so you can elevate to the next level. I thank you guys that has tuned in. I pray and I strongly believe this message has touched someone that is out there. And if it's not for you, pass this message along and share the video with others who may have interest or may be experiencing things. You never know how it may impact and touch the lives of other people. And I want and always want to just give a great shout out to my one and only God, heaven above. I thank my Creator for allowing me this opportunity and the experiences that I recently went through and grown through and overcame. I'm going to thank Him for that, for me being that light to be utilized within this storm. And now the storm is over. It's cleared. It's subdued. Queen Mother, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this phenomenal, motivational, inspirational, powerful, impacting team of the transformational tag team Also, shout out to my love, Takia Diamond, for Minds Up. And then also for Gio, aka Professor Neo, as he would call himself, for the inspirational messages that you guys put out. Also Queen Mother, your wonderful husband, who's doing a phenomenal job supporting you and with this movement. Also the other people that is a part of the team, I want to thank you guys that has tuned in. And I just want to tell you guys, continue to press forward, continue to stay focused, continue to stay motivated no matter what. And always remember, mastering your elements is the key to creating the world and the reality that you desire to live in. Just as the elements in life, from the periodic table of elements to the elements earth, wind, fire, air, because it all starts on a molecular scale, but they all work collectively. Just like the proton, neutron, and electron that creates the atom, which is the smallest form that we know to man. But it creates everything that we are utilizing and that we are visually seeing right now. It just depends on what vibrational level and frequency you desire to operate on. With that being said, guys, this is once again Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transition Mind and VP of Minds Up, and also a part of the team of the Transformational Tag Team. You guys have a blessed one.